So ChatGPT has a very, very small percentage of the entire search traffic. It's something like 1 to 2% or something like that. It's really little. But here's the kicker. When someone uses an AI tool to do a search, the conversion from that search to an actual call or a click is 4 to 8 times higher than traditional search.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Len Tau, and as always, I want to thank my sponsors, both Dental Intelligence, Net32, and CallRail for their continued support, allowing me to come to your inbox every single Friday morning at 5 a.m. I hope you love the content. My team at Burn Media creates some amazing content out there, so props to them as well. I'm bringing on a returning guest, someone who I've known for a very long time in the industry, and we're going to be talking about AI, the way it's changing that patients, the way it changes a patient find a dentist, and a lot of things that I really want to hear about because I am all about AI right now. So my guest is Adrian Lefler from My Social Practice, and Adrian serves as the CEO of My Social Practice, bringing 15 years of specialized expertise in dental marketing and practice growth strategies. Known for his dynamic, engaging, and highly practical presentation, Adrian has helped thousands of dental professionals successfully navigate the digital landscape with confidence and achieve measurable results. His unique approach combines technical expertise with real-world implementation experience, making complex AI concepts accessible to practitioners at all technology comfort levels. So please welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast, my good friend, Adrian Lefler. Adrian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Len. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm glad we're going to jump in here. And I always like when I talk to you guys in My Social Practice, I always like to bring up our first immediate interaction that I had with you guys. And it wasn't with you, it was with Seth. But it was literally when Facebook first came out for businesses.
Yeah.
And you sent a cold email out saying, we can help you create a Facebook page. And Facebook was barely, business stuff wise, there was nothing. And I called up and I said, I want to promote you, but I want you to create a Facebook page for me, and I don't want to pay for it. And Seth literally goes, "Who the fuck are you?" Because he didn't know who I was.
Oh, we can say the F word on this podcast?
Well,
Sweet.
I mean, I've never done it before, so maybe we'll get flagged. But that's the first time, and my listeners are going to say, "Wow, Len, I've never used that term on this." But that's what happened. And Seth said that to me, and I'm like, I told him I was, and then lo and behold, it's been years of a relationship. You're, a really strong bird eye helper in the industry. So it's been a very interesting. But that's how our relationship started.
Yeah. We were like, who is this guy? And then you ended up sending like 60 or 70 or 80 clients to us.
Exactly right. That's the power I have.
You started our business basically.
So I wanted people to understand that we go back a long, long way. So I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm at Bird Eye for 11 years as of 2 days ago. So it's been a long run. It's pretty amazing. But Adrian spoke at my event last year, Supercharge Your Dental Practice in Scottsdale. We just finished the 2025 when you're listening to this, which was in Fort Lauderdale. But he spoke about AI and he wowed the audience. So when it comes to AI, Adrian's the one I wanted to talk to, and that's the direction we're going here. So Adrian, why don't you just kind of start off in saying where you think AI is in the industry, how you think it's going to change the way people search, and then I have a whole slew of questions I want to ask you. So we'll jump into the content.
So we're on the cusp of a major change in the way that consumers find businesses. If you've been on Google recently, which everybody has, at the top of the search engine, there's the AIO, Artificial Intelligent Overviews is what they call them. And that's powered by Gemini, which is their large language model. So Google's built their own product. And they placed that right at the top of the search engine, ahead of the ads. And so there's also another. If you look down below that AIO result, you'll see AI mode link. There's a button for AI mode, which is a deeper, more. It's an experience with the AI that's a little bit more secure. It takes you into working directly with Google Gemini and their large language model. So Google's come out and they've basically said, and the teaser here is that AI mode is going to be the new search eventually. Okay, search is changing. We may not even see links like we've seen links before. And it's going to happen probably pretty quick. I would imagine that it happens in the next couple years, if not sooner. So the reason for this is that the results that come in search from an AI, rather than just links that you can click on, is a much more consumer-friendly and precise result. It's just, if you've done it, if you've used the AI overviews in your search and you've gotten your answers there, and you don't have to click anywhere. You don't have to click to somewhere else to get more information. The answer is usually right there. It's almost always exactly what you want. And so the consumer ends up spending less time and getting a better result. So if that happens, and Google's all in the game of making sure that the consumer experience of Google is just the best experience possible so that people keep using their search engine. If that's the case, we're talking about a completely different search engine interface. I mean, you're not even going to see, it's not even going to look like what it used to look like. So we're like right there. I mean, they're testing it. They've already said, hey, we're going to be moving to this. They've got pressure from ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity, which are other large language models that their search volume is just skyrocketing. So there's a transition from traditional search behavior to using AI as a way to find information online. And so that just fundamentally changes the way that the search engines work and how you're going to be found.
So I think what I want to know, and I'm curious, and I think you have the answer, we'll start off with this because I'm the review guy. How do you think reviews will play a role in those large language processing models as time goes on?
So that's a really, really good question, because the way that, can I answer that by backing up and giving a little bit of context?
Sure.
So there's a difference in the way that traditional search works versus AI search. Okay. Traditional search works like you type in a question like, who's the best dentist near me? You put that in Google. Google matches that query to a website or a blog post. So they're looking at the way that your website has been optimized related to that search phrase. Okay. So Len, if you were still practicing and you had a blog post that said, the number one reason why I'm the best dentist near you, you know what I mean? That would relate pretty tightly to the search phrase. And that blog post might show up, or your whole website, if it's optimized that way, it might show up. Okay. So it's this kind of a very clear, like almost one-to-one kind of like, it's a kind of a childish way to think about it, but it's kind of like search phrase, what's the closest match in terms of a website or a blog article or something like that, and then you get the results. Okay. That's how traditional search works. AI search works totally different. What happens is the large language model looks at the search phrase, okay, and it breaks it apart. And it actually looks at it, it's got sentiment analysis, and contextually it understands things. I'm even hearing, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm even hearing things like it's looking at past search behavior, so AI kind of knows who you are a little bit. I know it's kind of spooky, but possibly that's happening. But it takes that search phrase and it breaks it out. And then what happens is inside the algorithm, it searches like dozens or maybe hundreds of sites that are relatable to the search phrase in different context and sentiment analysis and so forth. So it's not looking at the entire website. It's looking at chunks of information. So it's going to your website at a blog post that you published 6 months ago, and it's looking at one paragraph because that paragraph relates very closely to the search phrase. So it's gathering all these chunks of information from multiple sites, and it's compiling that together, and it's coming up with its own result. It's using that to feed the AI to then give the result. So it's just fundamentally changing, okay? And there are tactics, there are actually different ways to optimize based on how an AI search works versus traditional search. Now, to your question, the reason I said that is because what they look for, the sources that the AI goes out and looks at, where it's grabbing these chunks of information. In Google, the number one place for a business is the Google business profile.
Yep.
It goes there typically before it even looks at the practice's website or anything else. It's the number one thing. So if you're not optimizing and getting reviews and you have a good review profile and you're actually getting actively getting reviews on an ongoing basis, or if you haven't claimed your listing or added your categories or the service areas or posted or did Q&As and all these things you could do to your Google business profile, you're going to be missing out on a ton of search traffic through AI.
That's what I wanted to hear, because I now it's such a focus on not only just reviews, because there's been I've been talking about this a lot lately. There's been a big disconnect in the industry. I speak to so many dentists who have like 500, 600, 700 reviews, and they don't rank, and they because they haven't even like fixed their, like I met a doctor in Staten Island last week, and he has doctor as his primary category. Like, you know, if you don't like, if your doctor's your primary category, you're not ranking for dentist.
Wait,
So-
like a physician.
Yeah, doctor, physician. Yeah, that's what I mean, doctor.
Yeah, you're
doctor.
not going to get any dental patients.
Yeah. So because you're not going to rank for doctor. I mean, you're not going to rank for dentist. So It's not just reviews; it's the other things as well. You have to pick the categories. You have to do the service areas. You have to have the name, address, and phone number sync up. That all plays a role. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's user generated content that they're looking at as well. So the reviews is all user generated content. So that's going to be a big factor in this. So great. I'm glad you said that. So I know we have a lot of other things to talk about here. So one of the questions that you had asked or you had put down here, which I don't even know what this is, I'm curious, is we know what SEO is. What is GEO, Generative Engine Optimization?
Okay, so GEO, there's actually a few acronyms that have been created to kind of describe this new AI search stuff. Okay.
So you have GEO, you have AIO, you have AEO, and you have AI SEO.
Those are kind of four terms that are getting thrown around. I'm not sure which one's going to land, but GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization, which is more akin to speaking to the large language model generating a result. AI SEO is Artificial Intelligent Search Engine Optimization. That's kind of easy to understand. AIO is really just AI overviews. That's really specific to it's AI overviews are what Google has at the top of the search engine now. So it's not a description of all large language models or artificial intelligence. That's just describing that section that's at the top of the search engine. And then AEO is Answer Engine Optimization. And it looks like AEO and GEO are going to battle it out to see which term is going to be the most common term. Answer engine optimization, which is kind of explaining that it's not when people use artificial intelligence, they're getting the answer immediately, right? Rather than having to click. And so they've coined that as maybe we should call this AEO. So anyway, but these are all terms that kind of describe new ways or strategies in order to optimize to be found in this AIO results or in ChatGPT or in Perplexity or any other large language model. So it's just search engine optimization represented. How do I get my website to rank? How do I get new patients to find me locally and find my website? This is how do I get found in the AI results, wherever they are, whether it's on Google, ChatGPT, Bing, whatever. So that's an acronym.
Got it. So obviously these are all various acronyms that are being tossed out there. One of them is probably going to land as the one that people refer to as, and then that's what they'll be using. So, and that will differentiate between SEO, which is traditional search engine optimization, versus how the AI is determining.
Yeah,
things.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Yep. So, one of the other questions which I'm curious about, obviously you named Claude, you named Perplexity, there's ChatGPT, there's a lot of different products that do this for various different things. Are patients using other AI software to find dentists, or is it really just focused on this large language model processing agents?
So Google still carries a vast majority of the search traffic. I think they might have dipped maybe 1% or 2%, which is huge.
Yep.
I think they were at like 92%. They might be around 90. I'm not sure. You could check the numbers. So they're still the 800-pound gorilla in terms of search. And because people use Google to search, Gemini, which is their large language model, gets a ton of traffic. And so Gemini, because of Google's, first mover advantage when they got into search and they really kind of established themselves, there's a really strong case that they will probably continue to contain or retain all of the search traffic through the Google Gemini as they work on their Gemini product. So Gemini is kind of used because it's inside of Google. Okay, ChatGPT is it's turning into a search engine. Okay, it's kind of like didn't start as a search engine. It would hallucinate a lot, meaning giving incorrect information. They pretty much cleaned a lot of that stuff up. It's solid now. At least my experience has been solid, and the amount of search traffic has just skyrocketed. So about a year ago, ChatGPT was getting, and remember, ChatGPT's only been around for 3 years. So it came out in November of 2022. So a year ago, they were getting somewhere around 100 million searches a day. They're getting 2.5 billion searches a day now. So wow. It's just astronomical. It's a hockey stick. They're just, people are using it, and they're using it on their phones. It's not just tied to the computer, and people download ChatGPT on their phone. They just talk to it, and it gives them their answers, right? So ChatGPT has a very, very small percentage of the entire search traffic. It's something like 1 to 2% or something like that. It's really little. But here's the kicker. When someone uses an AI tool to do a search, the conversion from that search to an actual call or a click is 4 to 8 times higher than traditional search.
Wow.
So you may have less volume, let's say with ChatGPT, and that's a stat from ChatGPT. It's not from Google Gemini. That's just one from ChatGPT. You may have less search volume in ChatGPT, but the transition is from, a query to a result to a click or a call is much, much higher. And I think that's because there is this is the gospel according to Adrian. I think that's because there's a perceived value in an AI result. And it's not something, it's just something that's kind of like happening. Like, because the results are so good and they're so direct and dialed in, that there's just a perception. There's a social proof value.
100%.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit like reviews.
It's different. It's different. It's very different.
It's just different, and there's more value to it, and so people trust it more.
So you mentioned the Google agent that pops up sometimes when you're doing a Google search.
Yeah.
I did a search for myself just because I was curious what it said.
Yeah.
And there were some inaccuracies in there. It says I'm still a practicing dentist, which I'm not. I'm just curious if someone does a search and they see wrong information, is there a way to like tell it, hey, you're wrong, don't do this again, or like what's the process? How to train the model? Yeah, how do you train that model? Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know a way of sending information back to the large language model to train it on the answer.
Got it.
There might be. Well, no, there are some ways to do that. I believe when you're doing a search in ChatGPT and you get an answer, there's a little thumbs down or a thumbs up, and you can send it information. I've not done it yet. I'd have to check. Okay. But what you can do is, let's say you're in Google, okay, and you do your search on yourself and you get the AI overview, and there's some incorrect information in there. Inside of that AI overview, there are links, little link
citations
images,
where it's pulling the
right,
yes.
And then over on the right, it'll show you where it pulled the information.
Go on there.
So you can just basically go find where it's pulling the incorrect information and have it changed there.
Got it. That makes sense.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I was just curious because I was saying it still says I'm a dentist and I don't practice any longer, so it was pretty funny. I am a firm believer in these AI agents. I use ChatGPT a lot. I haven't heard of Claude. I'll go on there and check it out. But I don't like, how it uses the M dashes and stuff. So I literally said, don't use it anymore. I said, I don't like that. Please stop doing it. Now it doesn't give it to me anymore. It's interesting. It learned from that. So I said, stop. I don't like that. Certain words it uses as well. I'm like, don't use that word anymore. So it's nice to be able to train it, and it follows you. So now one of the things I do is I have one of the things I created was just a bot that helps me respond to reviews. And I said, from now on, I wanted to give a HIPAA compliant response, and then I want a snarky, non-HIPAA compliant, unprofessional response. And literally, it does. As you asked for, here's a HIPAA compliant response, and here's a snark. It's amazing how it does it. So it works really well.
Where are you using those snarky responses?
Oh, I have them on Raving Patients Facebook group. When people ask for a response, I say you can't use this, but I like because people wish they can say this, but they can't because of HIPAA. They can't release that. That, and they can't look. There's one guy. His name is Tommy Murph. I always talk about him. In fact, when I spoke at your meeting on bad reviews, I referred to Tommy Murph. He will lay it out to patients in the responses, but he's not violating HIPAA, but he's snarky, and I love his responses, but I personally would never do that. It's really interesting. So I know in the short time we've been talking, you obviously made it very clear that this is the future of search. Okay.
Absolutely.
And there's things a dentist has to pay attention to, which is reviews and making sure their Google Home, as we call it, is in place. Someone is listening to this and, they're way behind the eight ball. They barely have anything going on Google. Can you lay out a couple of things that other than what I mentioned, that they need to get with the times here and start paying attention to, or they're going to be left in the dust and nobody's going to be able to find them at all online. So, any suggestions for somebody listening to this, like some action items you think they should do immediately to start caring about AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will definitely check off the update your Google business profile and get reviews. I think that's primarily one of the primary things you do. And again, the reason why is because, at least in Google Gemini and in ChatGPT, the number one source that they go to when they're grabbing their chunks of information is the Google business profile. Okay, so they find that to be essential in their rankings and so forth. So that's the number one thing to do. I would say number two would be that you have to have a blog on your website. And no one likes to blog. No one ever wants to blog. Not even bloggers want to blog. But blogs are basically a really, really easy way to create content that is relative to AI search phrases, okay? So most AI search phrases people aren't typing into their computers anymore. They're just speaking to their computer or talking to their app on their phone. So the search phrases are becoming longer and more defined and more specific. And what happens is when you write a blog article, it's easy to incorporate those types of questions, right, that are being asked in the AI into the blog. And there's a lot of different ways you could do it. I've got like 50 articles about this on our My Social Practice web blog. But there are actually tactics that you do in terms of how you write. Like one tactic would be have your blog, make sure you get a blog. When you write something, add 5 FAQs to the bottom of the blog, which would be typical questions that someone would ask into an AI search about you. And there's ways to find out what typical questions are being asked as well. So you can just find them and answer them. So I would say that's one thing. Two, I should say. Get a blog, start writing, make sure you add FAQs. The last thing I would say is that the traditional SEO, like making sure that your website speed is fast, that it loads quickly, making sure that you don't have broken pages and links and incorrect information. This is called technical SEO. It's kind of behind the scenes. You usually don't do this. A dentist doesn't do this. The dental team doesn't do this. You need somebody that understands how to build websites and fix them. That needs to be really, really dialed in. And the reason is the AI search engine, the large language models, they search in like nanoseconds. And if your website isn't able to retrieve information quickly enough to them, if it can't load it fast enough, there are problems, they skip your site. So, so basically you need to have kind of the guts of SEO, which is just traditional, like making sure your website's not slow and looks decent and no broken links, all that kind of stuff. That has to be done. So
got it.
I'd say those three things.
So I'm curious. You talked about blogging, and obviously blogging has been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
I used to talk about, you have to blog. It's a great way to create content, like you talked about. Now that AI is so popular, I'm sure there's a lot of companies who are tossing their blogs into AI and having AI write them for them. Mm-hmm. So are you able to fight AI with AI and do AI blogging, or is that going to have a negative if you're just putting AI into it? Is there any negativity to doing that?
If you can use AI when you do your blogging, but it really depends on how you're using it. So, quickly, because we're almost out of time, I'll just give you a quick description of how you should and shouldn't use it, okay? You should not go to ChatGPT and just type in, write me a blog article about why dental implants are important. My name is blah, blah, blah. My practice is blah, blah, blah. Grab it, copy, paste, put it in. That's not the way you do it, okay? There's so much of that's being done. It's just word salad all over the internet. And the algorithms, if they haven't figured it out, will figure it out that type of content long term, it might help a little bit now, but long term, if it doesn't have any authenticity in it or anything that's actually valuable, then it's not going to have a long lifespan in terms of the internet. Okay?
That's what I was curious about. That makes a whole lot of sense. Now, there are a lot.
Let me tell you one way to do it. Okay?
Sure.
Len, if you got off work and you're in traffic in Philly and you're driving home and you pull out a voice memo and you tell a story actually just pull out ChatGPT, talk to ChatGPT and say, I want to write a blog post about this experience I had today. And this is what happened. And you just tell a quick 5-minute story about a patient. And then you say, now I want you to write that blog post for me. And I want you to add 5 FAQs down below and blah, 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 and optimize it for this keyword. That would be a good way to use it because you're starting with original content. You're starting with authenticity first and asking the AI to help formulate that and draft it for you quicker. That's totally fine. I've used that kind of stuff for the last couple of years, and it ranks well. It's good content.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because you're starting with the authenticity.
Got it. So you have to if you have original stuff and you want help recreating it for online, it works. But if you're just putting bogus stuff in there that's duplicate content, it's not going to help you.
Yeah, it's not going to help you long term.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's funny. I used to ask questions, and I still, when I would speak, and I've been speaking a long time, it's like I see all these people talking into Siri and talking to Siri. Like I never talked to Siri, and when I asked people if they did it, nobody raised their hand. Okay, now now it's everybody's talking to ChatGPT. You mentioned they're talking to their desktop computers. It's changing.
Yeah.
When are we're gonna stop? Most people don't know how to even write their name anymore because we went from writing as a kid to now typing everything in. Okay, now we're talking everything. People can even know how to type later on. It's interesting to think about it. There are a lot of marketing companies out there who are jumping on the bandwagon with AI and talking about AI, and I don't want to say they're vultures preying on the dentists who don't understand, but what are the questions to ask a marketing company about how they're incorporating AI into what they're doing, to make sure that they're taking advantage of some of the newer stuff that's out there, but also not being taken advantage of because it has no effect on their practice?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you call a marketing company and you say, hey, look, I'm really interested in your search engine optimization product. I want to rank higher in Google. I want to be found in the AI overviews. Tell me about how you've changed your SEO service or how your SEO service helps with me ranking in AI overviews, right? Or something along those lines. If they say to you, hey, SEO is the same as it's always been. We just do the same stuff, blah, blah, blah. That's the wrong answer, okay? Because there are fundamental differences in the way that you will actually perform SEO for AI SEO or GEO, okay? So if they can't tell you these are the changes or these are the updates that we've been doing. This is what we used to do. This is what we're doing now. That's what you want to hear. Number two, you need to have tracking. There are a million, well, not a million, there's probably a few hundred software tools out there. Birdeye has one of them as well, right? I don't know if have they launched it yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So they're going to have one, but there's 100 others that I've come across that are basically ranking softwares or softwares that rank or that show you how well you rank in AI search. And they need to be using some sort of tool like that so that if they make the commitment to you that they're going to help you rank better, they better be able to show the results, right? So there has to be some tracking mechanism inside of that. I would say if you ask those two things and you get positives on that, yeah, we do things different than we have in the past. These are the things that we're doing different, and this is how we track the results. I think you're good.
What are some things or some terms or something that they should avoid if they hear it? I mean, again, there are some things that are not as effective as others. As an example, keyword stuffing for SEO and doing all these backlinks and stuff. That's kind of an old version of SEO. Is there anything that people should be wary of when it comes to AI that that sounds really good, but may not be as cracked up as it's supposed to be?
Well, I think that we have to keep in mind that AI or AI results, right, are still fairly slim. Meaning we've only got ChatGPT and Perplexity are probably the two large language models outside of Gemini. They get a lot of search traffic. Claude gets a little bit, but Claude's more for copywriting. It's not really positioning itself as a search engine. The amount of search traffic right now is still very, very small in terms of AI. Okay. But my claim is that when Google makes the official switch, and they might make it really quick or they might make it kind of slow, where AI becomes the main search result, their AI mode is what they call it, will become the interface. You then take all the 90% of the everybody in the states that uses Google is now using AI. That's the big shift, right? Is when Google makes that shift. So right now there's everybody's like, I want to show up in the AI search results or the AI overviews or whatever it might be, but it's still small. Okay. So if somebody's overemphasizing the fact that you have to rank in AI because you're never going to be found, that's not correct. Okay. So I would just look for an emphasis that seems too strong, that they're selling snake oil because it's the hot thing right now. It's just hot, and so they're just piggybacking on the hotness, right? Got it. So, but with that said, long term, over the next year or two, the practices that do get involved with helping themselves to rank in AI are going to play out big time. It'd be like getting 150 Google reviews in 2009. You know what I mean? It'd be like,
that was me.
Dude, that was you. And how many patients do you get from it? Like, you just feed your practice, right?
Yeah. I show a stat when I speak. In the last 10 years I practiced, so 2012 to 2022, I had 1,600 plus patients tell me they found my office because of my reputation online.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of patients to get just from, that was my entire marketing I did. So 100% so. So those who are frequent listeners of my podcast, they may be realizing I have not done in the last couple episodes, I have not done my lightning round Q&A because the episodes have been really great with content and I don't want to interrupt something that's really good. So I'm skipping here as well because, Adrian is a massive leader and thought leader in AI, and I wanted to make sure we got as much time with him as possible talking about these various things. And I think we gave a really good list of ideas for those who are looking to either get started in AI or learning to change how they're looking at AI. So I really appreciate that. If people have questions for you, they want to, see what my social practice can do for them. What And to be very clear, my social practice starting out with Facebook and doing social media. They moved into websites. They do reviews. They do AI. They do local search. They do websites. They do a whole lot more now than they used to do. So, that's more of a branding thing. They hear, you hear social and stuff. You think
you'd think as a marketing company would have changed their name.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. Okay. But what's the way somebody can reach out to you or reach out to your team to find out more about how you can help their practice?
Well, I'll just give you my email. Somebody can email me. I'm happy to jump on a call with anybody, and then I'll give you our main line. But we're happy to. I mean, we do have a GEO service, and so we're like trying to lead the fight with this and develop things. We're a full digital marketing agency, so if you have needs for social media or ads, or we have a really great AI receptionist product called Annie. We can usually provide some solution for a doctor who's looking to be found and chosen more often. So I'll just give you my email. And I'll give you my main phone number, and you should reach out. And I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Do you want to say it? You want to say it? So
it's just Adrian, Adrian, at mysocialpractice.com. And our phone number is 877-316-7516.
So you've got Adrian's information. It will be in the show notes as well. If you think or you like what Adrian said and you think it could be helpful to you, please reach out. Adrian's a great guy. I've known him for a long time, like I said at the very beginning. Adrian, I appreciate you sharing your expertise with my audience. And remember, check out the sponsors, both All Dental Intelligence, CallRail, and Net32. And again, I thank them for their support. And as I end every single one of my episodes, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next one, Adrian, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll talk to everyone soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Len.